Oh, look at Sinette. She's all fancy.
My
Absolutely.
beautiful viewers on E360, how are you feeling? So I'm not goofing around. I've got my mini ears on. I've got my heart-shaped glasses on because we are celebrating an amazing, amazing lady out of the UK that have changed so many people's lives around the world with her beautiful manual, her magic manual. And I know manual is like, oh, but what if it can be fun? What if it can be wonderful? What if? What if? I am truly excited to have you, my beautiful Penny. My beautiful viewers, please enjoy our show today. My beautiful diamond beauties and Tanzanite heroes, welcome, welcome. And now I am handing over to my miracle man. But between Krista and Laura, he's all of our miracle man. So my beautiful miracle man, you're going to be our host today. Thank you so much for being the host. I love you. Mwah.
I take it. Thank you so much, Penny Hopkinson. Oh my goodness, we are so thrilled that you are with us today because we took a deep dive into your book and we're going to actually spill some tea on what you were thinking, what you were feeling, and you're going to, share that with the world. So we're so thrilled. So before I have you do that, I would love you to meet the panel. So I'm going to start on the top here with Krista Rose. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, well, I'm Krista. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I'm an Amazon #1 best-selling author of my book, Skip the Pain, Experience the Pleasure. And I try to teach people to cut the crap that's holding you back so you can live the life you love. And I do that by showing them how the way they think, the way they talk, the way they act all creates their reality. I'm also an international speaker, energy worker, and I do have to give a shout out. I do Reiki, and just yesterday I became a Reiki master. So had to throw that in.
Woo, congrats. You're shining. I love it. Reiki Master. Congrats on
Yeah.
that
Hold up, hold
certification.
up. Reiki
Awesome. We're proud of you,
Master.
girl.
Woo.
Thank you. The more
Well,
beautiful energy I can put out there, the better.
yeah. So as you'll tell, the audience knows we're family and we're welcoming Penny here. So Laura, Brennan Ballet, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Well, Penny, welcome. You are now part of the family. We're so excited. And I love that she has this natural shine out to her. It looks like the sun is shining on her so beautifully. And I'm in studio. Laura Brennan Bellet, thought energy empowerment leader and expert. And like all of us here, we have a love of writing and storytelling. And being a speaker and a coach and a facilitator of transformational knowledge. This is why I love this panel and why I spend my personal time here. I just think the power and the empowerment of writing and reading really can activate what Howard and I call a living energy formula. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Penny. We are super excited to have you today.
Thank you, Laura. And then I would love for, I call her my dancing queen, because if you've ever had a one-on-one tea with her, you're dancing. So, Sinette, please introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Wow, thank you, my beautiful miracle man. That doesn't happen often, and I love it. I am Sanette from Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a voice amplifier, creating spaces and stages for millions of beautiful souls around the world to come and share their brilliance, their wisdom, and their transformational stories on all my platforms, TV shows, magazine, and now publishing. I am truly blessed to be here. Thank you, my beautiful miracle man.
You're welcome. And then I'll introduce myself. I am Howard Brown. I'm in Michigan, USA right now. I'm the original Mr. Shining Brightly. That's for sure, right? So I am actually a two-time stage 4 cancer survivor, and we teach people how to get back up because we all get knocked down in life and in business and in health and in relationships. and we must get back up again. And we use that by sharing each other's light to lift up others. And I found a lot of light in your book too, Penny. So we're going to talk about that. And I would love for our dear Penny to now introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much for all your lovely introductions. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Penny Hopkinson from the UK. I'm an operations manual specialist, which means that I transform dull text-heavy manuals into something much more exciting, and I call it manual magic.
It is manual magic. We're making magic today, ladies. Let's make some magic. I love that. And we'll take it right off there. So look at Minnie Mouse is here. We're shining brightly, all of us. Penny, thank you. So we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna start with you, Krista, and I'll go in the same order as we introduce ourselves. I'd like to give you the honor of the first question.
So first of all, thank you so much. This was like a Bible for me. I was actually looking at doing a franchise of something we were talking about this weekend, and then it was like I was just so excited about that. So anybody who's thinking about any type of franchise or even just making any type of manual, I found so many aha moments in it. But I want to start off with your very first quote, and if you can explain a little bit about why you chose this quote and what it means to you. So it's by Aristotle, and it says, "What we are, what we we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence. Then it's not an act, but a habit." So tell me a little bit about that.
It's amazing you should choose that particular quote, because that's been my guiding light for many, many years. It really means that doing what you do correctly needs to become a habit. The more you do it, the more excellent you become. And it's second nature. I mean, I guess you all drive. Do you actually think what you do as you're driving your car? You may be observing what's around you, but if you put the indicator up or down, do you actually rationalize whether it's going left or right? You do it automatically. And one of the things about replicating a system is that you begin to do things automatically, but you're not in a straitjacket. You have flexibility to be innovative and to improve as you go along.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for that explanation.
So
Laura?
yeah, so Penny, you'll discover that we will say this often. That is my question that I had, my first question. Exactly. I'm a power quote human. I have over 1,000 original ones from my book, The Science of Empowerment. And that's what I wanted to know, because of all the quotes in the world that I'm sure you've been privy to. Why that one? So great question. Beautiful answer. So I, of course, have other questions. I love the idea of asking an author that really created magic around structure. Do you personally have a favorite empowerment technique or skill in your own life that helped drive this information into a more applicable manual?
I suppose if you're talking about a superpower.
Yes.
Yes. Well, my superpower is an editor. I was a trade and tech journalist. I wanted to be a journalist from the age of 16, when my tutor wrote a little note on a tutorial I'd written on the art of hot wire cutting, of more later. It was a very pretentious article, because I wanted to be seen above all the other people who were in the class at college. And she wrote, "Have you ever thought of being a technical author?" And that was my light bulb moment. And that's really what drove me. I just wanted to get into journalism. I wanted to go into trade and tech. And When I got my first job as an editorial assistant, and the editor, Dr. Roy Owen, took an absolute chance, because in the UK you had to be a member of the National Union of Journalists to become an employee in a union house, which this was, and I wasn't, and without any experience I couldn't be. So he took an absolute chance, and he taught me everything I knew, or now know. And I found that editing was a process that I really, really loved. And I can spend days, not go out, not see anybody, and just edit. And everybody says you should never edit your own book, but I edited my book, Manual Magic, to the extent that when it went to the publishers for final editing, they had very little to do.
Oh, nice.
So
I love
that's my little superpower.
I love that. And I love the alchemy, that magic between your passions, that intellectual part of you, and then that real conscious like awareness of where you felt like, right, that nudge to go into. What a beautiful mix. This is what I love about this show, because you wouldn't think that, right? Looking at an operational manual, but now we get to ask the author and look at all of the inside stuff. So thank you, Penny. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my
Listen, that
beautiful ones, are you ready to be camera wise or
yes.
paparazzi wise? Here we go, Penny. My beautiful panel, here we go.
Woohoo! We're flashing. It's shining. Ah.
It's a pen, and my grandchildren love my pen. I have to take it to New
Fabulous.
Zealand. So my beautiful Penny, I am going to read my question for you to make sure that I've got the right wording. In Manual Magic, you emphasize the importance of transforming outdated or ineffective operational manuals into a powerful tools for franchise success. Now, the question: what are the most common mistake companies make when creating their operational manuals, and how can they avoid these pitfalls?
Well, the first mistake they make is they look at creating something that's organic, the easiest thing that they can put down on paper. They start with, and they think that the structure is just putting a whole load of sections together without any thought about how the reader will navigate. And as with, I mean, you're all authors, and I'm sure structure means everything to you. You have your structure, and you work within that structure to produce something fantastic. And this is the first thing that every person who is in charge of creating an operations manual should do. Look at the structure. We spend days creating a detailed structure. It can go to 40 pages, but it's everything that represents the blueprint of somebody's business system.
Wow.
And the second mistake is thinking that once all the information is there, given perhaps written by maybe half a dozen different people, that it's the same voice and the same viewpoint. It all has to be from one. There has to be complete continuity throughout.
I like that.
I love that. Can I press now, Penny? Can I?
Can
So, Penny, I have to tell you that we've all kind of wrote manuals. They just came out in different formats. My book, Shining Brightly, is a manual for leading a resilient life with hope. Okay, just like your manual. But I want to tell you that I love the word blueprint, and I love the unified one voice, because that leads me, it perfectly segues right into my question. When I'm reading this manual magic, all I could think about was that this thing is a cookbook. It's the recipe to make your recipe, and you use examples of a cookbook. How are you going to get your sweets or your meal cooked properly if you don't have instructions? And so I love that analogy. But the big takeaway for me, and I want you to comment on this, was that this operations manual is a reflection of a blueprint and core values. Each chapter you were pulling out, I was getting a core value, okay, that represents the company and who they are, how they operate, and what they do. And did you intentionally do that, or is
Yes.
that what you do? Because it's
Yes.
stunning that core values are coming out of your book and into an operations manual on franchising. I just didn't see that coming, and I was it made me keep turning the pages. By the way, so tell me a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Yes, my intention was to ensure that the reader understood that their DNA is special, their values are special, their core purpose is important, and that everything follows. So, for example, when you write a manual, you need to reinforce all the key phrases, all the strap lines. You need to make it a mantra all the way through. And the DNA of a company is what makes them different and what makes their manuals different. Because very often you get somebody who just puts down dull words. And I'll come on to something a little later on. Today, in fact, I'll address it now. Today, people don't want dull text-heavy operations manuals. The younger generations, the young millennials and Generation Z, they want something more. They're the digital savvy YouTube, Instagram, TikTok generations. They do not respond to lots and lots of text. Give you an example of how I tackle things. Somebody came to me the other day and they said, "Oh, we've got a very outdated manual. We'd love you to update it for us." So I said, "Oh, yes, what have you got now?" "Oh, we've got 800 pages of text." And I said, "Well, what is the average age of your franchise manager and the team?" "Well, the manager's about 40 and the teams are between 25 and 29. I said, "If you produce an 800 page or even a 400 or a 200 page text heavy manual, you'll lose them and you won't get a return on your investment." They want something different. And as there are 5 generations under one workplace these days, you have to look at the learning styles and what each generation wants and needs. And it certainly isn't 800 pages of manual.
That's so true. And I have to tell you, so when I started out in the workforce, we'd have these manuals that would sit on a shelf.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
not what you looked at them only if something went wrong, right? Only if something went wrong, and they would collect a lot of dust. And so, what I take from this is that the new manuals have visual, because we're visual learners. They're living and breathing documents, and you incorporate modern technology as video and things like that in order to keep them. But they're breathing and living always. They don't just sit on a shelf and collect dust now.
Well, as a company must continuously improve, so must a manual. And visual is absolutely crucial. What I'm doing at the moment is promoting the operations manual as a knowledge sharing environment, because operations manual is dull from the start. people want to participate. Today's young employees want to be part of the evolution of a company. They're much more focused on the playing their part in a company whose values they share than the salaries they get, because they want longevity. Now, if you don't do this, if you don't engage these young people, you're going to lose them. So your staff retention will go down, and you'll just continually recruit until you find the light. And so what I've been doing is I've been looking at a knowledge sharing platform where the employees can make their own videos, upload them in little bite-sized chunks. Then, once approved, they convert them into QR codes. The QR codes are put at the site of need. So, for example, if you're a barista and you've only just learned how to make a lovely cappuccino or a latte, and at the end of the day you need to strip down the machine, you're still not quite sure how it goes, you just take your smartphone, capture the QR code, you have all the stages of how to clean, and then you can do it at your own speed, but in your own language.
Interactive manual.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love that.
How
Yep.
you
Well,
meet the
Howard,
need and how you adapt.
Yeah. So now the humble operations manual has been reinvented as a knowledge sharing environment
Yes.
where everyone can participate, learn and grow. And what you do is you incentivize your teams, and whoever has the proposes an update to for continuous improvement gets a nice voucher, like an Amazon voucher. And then at the end of the year, when everybody meets for the conference, the person who's made the most impact on wastage, fewer accidents, incidents, and leads to employee retention will get a holiday.
wow.
I think that
Bravo.
you've made that's how you modernized it, and I just all stem from core values. Thank you. That was really, we're getting in deep here. So this is amazing. So I'm going to do a quick round for everyone. So do you have a favorite franchise, Krista? Do you have a favorite franchise maybe here in Canada?
I do, but it's not here. It's called Beaver Tails. I know you
Okay.
probably don't know what it
What
is,
do they do?
but
What do they do?
they're basically like kind of long donuts that look like a beaver tail, and you can put Nutella on it or cinnamon or anything. It's a dessert. They're fantastic.
Wow. Do you have one, Laura? What's your franchise?
No, I would say, this is interesting when I just heard you ask that. I don't have a franchise, but I have specialty places that I love to go. But I don't drink coffee, so I never really got into the Starbucks kind of, that franchise beginning. I don't eat, like takeout food, like McDonald's and Burger King and all that.
That's okay.
So, not no, I particularly don't have a franchise that I can think of that's like that. I love that, like long donuts that look like beaver tails. I just think that's the coolest thing. How about you, Howard and Sinette?
Well, go to Sinet in South Africa. Do you have a franchise that you fancy?
So I love Swarovskis because you can get it everywhere in the world. But
Oh,
I
wow.
must just tell you, in Texas, I love Bucky's. Bucky's is the most beautiful I
That's
call
right.
it the truck stop. And my sister said to me, no, Sunny, there is not trucks allowed to stop there. I said, but your big cars is like trucks. They are stopping there. But Bucky's is my most favorite place because you almost feel like home, South African home, homely in Bucky's. So if you never have visited a Bucky's in Texas, please do so because you will love them. And you, Howard?
So I grew up probably as a little kid with Dunkin' Donuts. So I don't know if they're international or not, but Dunkin'
Yeah,
Donuts,
they
and
are.
I know where the one thing I learned from the book is that it's not all just food franchise. There's so many types of franchises too. So I love Dunkin' Donuts, their coffee and their donuts. So I like that. What about you, Penny? Do you have? Can you actually name one without getting in trouble?
I suppose I could name one of my clients, which was Costa Coffee. And they Costa Coffee were the trailblazers, and they and I we worked together for at least 2 or 3 years. And my project manager was based in Dubai, and she subsequently became one of my closest friends. And she's now in the UK, which is wonderful. And together we created 6 volumes, and then we turned them into CDs. We put all the information on CD-ROMs. So that was the precursor of being able to put a manual up in the cloud.
Right, digital. Right, that's
And
right. Well, thank you for those shares. Are we ready for round two, Penny? Because we got more for you.
I'm ready.
You're ready? All right, Krista, you're up.
So first of all, you pretty well answered all my questions, and or somebody stole them, but it doesn't matter because there's always more. First of all, I just wanted to say about the beaver tails. One of the reasons why I chose it is because you cannot get it anywhere where I live. So you have to travel about 8 hours away to get them, and then they're all over the place. So we recently went away to celebrate my birthday, and it was like a tradition. So we met some family there, and it became this tradition to go to Beaver Tails. It didn't even matter what it was, honestly, but it was the memories. And then we were saying, remember when you were younger? And that's so again, it created more of the memories in that than the actual food. Usually we all had to share one. And I kept thinking, why don't we have one around here? So anybody out there who wants to bring one here, you'll probably make a lot of money. But I have a confession to make. I was one of those people who have those dusty, old 800 page manuals on lots of shelves, and not just one, but one for every little section. And I've opened at least 3 or 4 different businesses. I've been a director and opened different ones. So this was in the past. What I was blown away was how, first of all, you allow them to use their smartphone to make those little snippets of what they do and how they do it amazingly, and give the person who's trying to learn the job that actual all the information right there. So, and the QR codes was brilliant because my question was going to be about how you felt about AI coming into it. So you already have it so easily there. But one of the things that I really struck a chord with me is that you actually specifically put this in. Don't quote me on it, but how every every employee, this was for a food restaurant, will know not only what the food is, but all the ingredients. And specifically for people who have allergies like nuts or gluten free. So my daughter has celiac, and blown away. So, like I said, this is a Bible for anybody who has it, because that would be so helpful for someone like me who would go somewhere and who normally has to say, can you look it up. So can you tell me a little bit about how you came up with even that insight, like those minute little details that people may need or may want to know?
I spent a long time talking to somebody who is in the forefront of the AI revolution, and he understands very much how people learn at all ages. And he has created this amazing platform called Manual.2, and it's for people to, it's really show, don't tell. And that resonates with me because when I was a very little girl, my father used to take me into his factory in the days when health and safety weren't quite so hot. And he used to say, well, this is a new machine, this is what it does, and so on and so forth. And then one day he took me into a little room and he said, I've just got a new hot wire cutter, which circles back to this article I wrote. And I think I was about 12. And he said, right, I want you to see how to cut all the polystyrene blocks to size. And the hot wire cutter is 600 degrees centigrade. So just watch me carefully. So I did it and I cut all the blocks and so on. I think my mother would have had an absolute fit had she known that her daughter of 12 was being exposed to 600 degrees centigrade, but never mind. But I was fascinated, and I think the fact that my father was so proud that I'd actually cut these very sort of normal regulation blocks, but at the age of 12, that must have left a deep impression. And I, as a little girl and growing up, my father always involved me as an engineer. In what he was doing, he'd always show me the latest something or other, or to look at something under the microscope because he was passionately interested in mineralogy.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing because I know next to my highly dangerous equipment, for instance, I'll say a slicer. You know, yes, we give step-by-step instructions on a little laminated card that you put right next to it, and people read it, and does it really show them what to do? So when you say turn this knob, what knob? So again, when I saw how you can use the smartphones and that you can actually see how the whole thing works, it just blew my mind. So again, this is a Bible. I wish I had this Bible. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Living energy, Laura.
Yeah, what I love about this is so I almost feel like I want to have a conversation with Penny. I'm sure even Howard, Sinette, Krista, you're feeling this rather than question. There's so much brilliance and depth in you, Penny. This is what I love about Sinette, what you've put together. Look at the insight into this one human and the stories that she is sharing and how this has really ignited someone who's lived generations and has figured out how to take structural information, right? A structured knowledge and make it kind of cool, kind of interesting, even a little bit of fun that has this ability to move in between. I know a lot of brilliant people, but they always seem to hold on to kind of stagnant energy. And you really have this mindset that, for me, Howard, feels very alive. So I'm curious, on a personal note, how do you stimulate your own mindset energy? How do you stay really excited about the information that you recalibrate to keep it exciting for other people?
I think it's by talking to all the people that I work with, all the people in the industry. Franchising is a very, very close-knit industry, and we all know each other. And if we don't know each other, we soon do get to know each other. And we're very supportive of one another. We discuss all kinds of dimensions. And the one thread that comes through time and time again is that it's not about us. It's about the success of the franchise, and in particular, the franchise owner, or franchisee as we would call them in the UK, because ultimately they've placed their trust in the business system that they've bought into, which should be ethical and it should be a proven system. And they have bought the support from day one to the time they're ready to either sell or just leave the business. And it's a huge responsibility for the franchisor, who absolutely must support in every single sense. The British Franchise Association and all the franchise associations around the world exist to support franchisors who are ethical. And I'm very privileged that I've been with the British Franchise Association since 1989, when they invited me to join. And I helped them set a gold standard for operations manuals. I then rewrote the franchisor and the franchisee manuals that they produce. And then the European Code of Conduct, and their membership handbook.
Wow.
And then very humbling, but I was made a companion of the British Franchise Association in 2011, and there are only 14 of us. So
yeah.
I'm really, it was for the contribution to the British Franchise Association and to UK franchising, which means a lot to me, because as I mentioned, the community is very close-knit, and we're all working towards helping franchisors do a better job and making sure that franchisees are successful.
I love that. It's bringing me back to what Howard was almost saying, and what for me is a common thread in your conversation with us today is your personal value system. You really have found this beautiful way of bringing it into your work. And we talk about authenticity and really being genuine, but I think that's something that just naturally, like, you exude that value of excellence. And if I hear you correctly, when I asked about the fun in it, it's that human to human connectivity that I speak about all over, but that's what I'm hearing you say. It's how we speak to one another, and really allowing a safe space to open up and share ideas and become very innovative and very forward thinking, which I think is such an amazing position to take. Which I'm sure is why you have had this humbling, ask. So again, just acknowledgement from fellow authors and fellow humans. Just job well done, Penny. Job well done.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Laura, I was when you were in Laura's question. We know each other pretty well here, Penny, and we're getting to know you. But you exude what Laura would call written energy, spoken energy, visual energy, and lived energy. And it was it's beautiful, just beautiful. So we're getting down to it. So Sinette, I don't know if we're going to make it around again, but Sinette, what do you have for Penny?
SOPs in the name of love.
Oh my God, I love her.
So my beautiful Penny, SOPs stands for Standard Operated Procedure.
Yeah.
What is the common mistake that people have when they showcase the SOPs in the name of love?
I think the common mistake is that they don't actually see it from the user's point of view. Writing a procedure is very much like I see the process in my mind's eye, and being able to take yourself through all the steps is really, really important. But most people can't write a standard operating procedure. They either miss a step, or they do something in reverse, unwittingly, obviously. But they don't. It's like a recipe. You forget an ingredient, or you don't know that baking powder is an important ingredient, and therefore your cake doesn't rise. So your standard operating procedure doesn't work.
I love that.
It's true.
I asked my son now to help me with the admin, and he is a very young man that has got lots of ideas. And I told him, as coming from a corporate for all my years, please follow my instructions, my procedure. And if you didn't skip any steps and you can get to the end result faster, then I will listen. Don't come to me and skip half of the process and the end result is not the same. But he have changed two of my processes very beautifully because he came to the end result. He didn't skip anything, but he made it faster because of technology. So yes, sometimes our older generation need to learn from the younger generation. So I love that, my beautiful Penny.
But that is absolutely true today. It is the young people who are going to shape the corporations of tomorrow, and we need to listen to them because they're the ones who have the ideas, the fresh ideas.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I
So
love
Penny, thank you, Miss Annette. And stop in the name of love with the standard operating procedure. So Penny, I'm going to read something because I was blown away, and it's on pages 17 to 19. You have to get this book, whether you're running a franchise or not. It became fantastic, addictive reading. But I didn't realize there were so many types. So I looked, and there's retail types of franchises, the brick and mortar type shops, right? Then there are service franchises, cleaning, repairs, maintenance types of franchises. Then there's, you call them van-based, or they're mobile operating businesses. And then you have home-based franchises, and then business to business. And then, of course, what we all know of restaurant and food franchises, health and fitness franchises, educational franchises, personal care, automotive, and the list goes on. I just didn't realize how vast the actual franchising market was. So that was my big takeaway for me. Now, go ahead. You want to comment on that?
I was going to say it's very, very big business. And of course, it came from the States. McDonald's was the very first franchise.
That's right.
And the UK and the whole of Europe, in fact, it goes throughout the Middle East, Africa, Asia. Everywhere you will find franchises. I don't think that there's anywhere, except now perhaps Russia, because McDonald's are out of Russia, and many others besides, for obvious reasons. But it truly is a global business. And about 30% of the global workforce are under 30, which means that many of the franchises that are started are started by people who are under 30.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Creating jobs and affecting economies, and
Yep.
it's entrepreneurial. It's entrepreneurship. And again, these rules. Okay, now I have to tell you, guys, we're a little slower, but I didn't follow the instruction manual on putting my toys together, and that's probably why they broke. So now I learned my lesson. I have to follow the instruction manual, of course. So I'm going to do something that I'm known for, which is a little bit of a speed round. So I'm going to ask for shorter answers. Okay, when I say a word, and we touched on some of these, but we're going to tie it all together here. So the first word is ethics.
Ethics is the basis of absolutely everything you do. If your business isn't ethical, nobody should join it.
I agree. The next word is standards.
Everybody has different standards. When we were about, in our teens, we liked drip dry shirts. when we got a little more cash to spend, perhaps we would go to cotton. Then we might go to silk. Every age has its idea of what a standard is. And the franchisor, and in fact any business person, must explain what their idea of quality is, and not the person who is coming into the business.
You're getting a flashing light here. A
Yeah.
big flashing moment there. There's a spotlight for you. All right, I got two more for you. Actually, three more. But one of it is business processes.
Every business needs a process, and you should have a really well laid out process for every element, from people through marketing and promotion, day-to-day operations, and development, growth, and profit.
And then I have one more after this, but best practices.
Now best practices are practices that are optional, but the business says they should be followed. In a franchise, everything you do in a manual is must. The only time it is arbitrary is if it's best practice. But then if you don't follow it, your franchisor will probably come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Wow. Okay, we got something to say that?
That was easy.
That was easy. You press the easy button, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the last one, Krista touched on, but I just want to have it because it's really the Wild West right now. And AI, artificial intelligence. What would you say there for a short answer?
Right. If you don't use it, you'll be left behind. Ethically.
Right.
If you don't use it ethically, you'll be left behind.
Wow.
It's your greatest assistant if you use it ethically and properly.
Thank you. I have to tell you, there's a lot in this book that I pulled out. So
I
again,
took notes.
yeah,
I took
we
notes.
get pages of notes. I know it. This is different. We all got
Love
it. So it was just beautiful. Thank you for that. Now we just have we have probably 5 minutes left in that. So we'll go around and shorter 4 minutes. Okay. So Krista, do you have anything?
Yeah, so quickly here, I know in Canada, unions are very strong. I don't know how they are in the rest of the world. There was one point you said, I'm going to read it, staff arriving early to make sure their place is sanitized, stations, everything, assemble their ingredients. Here, in the places that I have ran, until they clock in, they don't arrive early. So if their shift is 7 to 3, they won't arrive at 6:45 as much as we would like them to. Have you run into that problem in any other business?
Not really. I think, if somebody's meant to arrive at 7 in the morning, they arrive at 7. If they're a little earlier, nobody really minds. But if when I first started work, I had to clock in and clock out. So from the moment I clocked in, I had to do my 8 hours before clocking out. Otherwise, I was penalised, or if I did it too often, I would be fired. Or perhaps they'd remove my luncheon vouchers, or something horrible like that. But arriving early is really the interpretation of arriving at the time they need to arrive, which is early in the morning.
That's awesome. Yep, that clears that up. Great, because I know, with unions and leadership, they have to really kind of join, and you outlined it perfectly on steps to make it all work. So thank you so much, Penny.
Thank you, Krista.
The only thing I'm going to say real quick in closing is this for me, and Howard, I know you'll understand this. This is not just a book for franchise. It really isn't. There is so much that you can learn from this book. I look at everything as how can I apply it to empower? And you really can read this book and empower your life, your writing process, your own business, how you take care of your home, your property. I think there's so much value in this book beyond that you. I just love it. I just think it's such an education here today, and I feel very empowered from being in your presence, Penny. So thank you.
Laura, thank you so much for that.
Mm.
The book is going to be made generic, and we're going to have a generic version which is not franchise specific.
That's what I was hoping.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
little surprise there for everyone out there. It's coming. That's next up. So now I'd love to give you the final word before you take us to closure.
Thank you, my beautiful Howard. Penny, can you quickly tell us how are you feeling, my beautiful one?
I feel really humbled, actually, because, when you write a book of this type, you never know really how it's going to be received. And I've been very lucky in that my franchise community has supported me, and they now call it the definitive book on franchise operations manuals. But for those who are not part of the franchising community, and to have lovely comments and wonderful support from all of you, I find it exceptionally humbling, because the operations manual isn't everybody's cup of tea. This is why I wanted to make it the magic book that without it you won't succeed. And thank you for making me feel that everything has been worth it.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Penny.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you, my beautiful Howard, for being the host. Thank you, my beautiful Crystal and my beautiful Laura. Thank you, Penny. So, my beautiful Penny and my beautiful guest, will you have a dance with me?
Yes.
Thank you. My beautiful viewers on E360, will you have a dance with us? They said yes, they said yes. Here we go.